Okay, so uh, picture this. You're standing in front of this massive, like, awe-inspiring monument,
Hmm.
right? Maybe it's a statue. Maybe it's something else entirely carved from stone. Ever start to think, like, how do they actually do that?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Totally. So today we're going to try to wrap our heads around it. We're taking a deep dive into the world of stone engraving.
And it's a world where, you find this amazing blend of ancient craft and, like, seriously cutting-edge technology.
It's true. And the craftsmanship, it, like, lasts.
Yeah.
We're talking artistry that endures for ages.
It's so much more than just, someone carving words into a piece of granite, though that in itself is pretty impressive, right?
Right.
But we're talking about this deep, deep understanding of materials, a real sculptor's eye, and then the kind of precision you'd expect from an engineer, all in one person.
That's a good point. It's like art meets science in a big way. And speaking of, well, the engineering side of things, I was checking out this RoleCatcher Career Guide we've got, blown my mind. The range of projects a stone engraver actually tackles is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you have these artisans restoring a weathered inscription, on, say, a centuries-old cathedral.
Yeah.
That's stone engraving. Then in the next breath, you've got someone creating a totally unique, custom engraved fireplace mantle for like a super modern home. Stone engraving again.
It's true. The range is huge. And what I find fascinating is the variety, even within those projects, right? Like you might think, oh, a stone is a stone, but carving into a porous limestone, totally different beast than tackling a big old slab of hard crystalline granite.
Huh. So you're saying it's not a one-size-fits-all approach?
Yeah.
Makes sense, but I never really thought about it like that.
Nope, not at all.
So it's almost like a stone engraver also needs to be, what, like a material scientist too?
In a way, yeah. They need to know their stuff.
Wild. So what does make one stone better than another for a particular project then?
Well, it all comes down to the properties of the stone itself. Let's take marble, for example. It's prized for its beauty,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's relatively soft and it's actually prone to staining. So let's say you're engraving, I don't know, a delicate floral design onto a marble headstone. You'd need a much lighter touch, different tools, and you'd even need to think about how exposure to the elements, rain, sun, all that, how that might actually affect the engraving over time.
Wow. I admit I never would have considered that.
It's a lot to think about.
So you have to balance the like desired look, the
Mhm.
durability needs, and then whatever quirks the stone itself has.
Exactly. A balancing act for sure. Now, contrast that with, let's say, granite. Granite's incredibly hard-wearing. It's perfect for those monuments or outdoor sculptures that are going to be exposed to the elements year after year.
Right, right.
But that durability also means you need specialized tools and techniques. Think diamond tip bits instead of traditional chisels when you're going for those really fine details.
Hold on. Diamond tipped. You're telling me they use diamonds to carve stone.
Sometimes, yeah.
That just took this whole tools of the trade thing to a whole other level.
And it gets even more interesting. The RoleCatcher stuff actually talks about this incredible blend of like ancient craft and then super modern technology in the field. You still have those traditional hand tools, your chisels and hammers, passed down, probably through generations, and they're still essential for certain tasks.
It's like this, I don't know, almost primal connection between the artist and the stone. Right? I can picture it.
Absolutely. But then you have computer-aided design CAD software coming into play. Let's say you're trying to engrave a really detailed portrait onto a headstone. Traditionally, that would have taken incredible skill, tons of precision, transferring the design onto the stone and then, meticulously carving it out all by hand.
Yeah, which I'm guessing leaves very little room for error. One slip and you've got to start over.
Pretty much.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Like it's like ancient craft just like embracing all this technology as it pops up. One minute you're using a chisel that's been around for centuries and the next, bam, you're practically collaborating with a computer. But I'm guessing not everyone's thrilled about this whole tech integration thing, right? What do like the traditionalists in the field think about all of this?
Well, it definitely creates an interesting dynamic, you could say. You'll always have those folks who believe that true craftsmanship, the real deal, it lies solely in the hand tool tradition. That's it. End of story.
Yeah, I could see that. Like there's a certain purity to it.
Right. But, a lot of engravers, they see technology more as a way to, I don't know, enhance their skills, not like erase or replace them. Think of it like this. You have a master painter, right? They've been using the same types of brushes for, who knows, decades. And then someone introduces them to this new brush. Maybe it's made with some synthetic material, whatever. It doesn't suddenly change their fundamental understanding of painting, right? It just gives them like a new way to express that, new possibilities.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about replacing the artistry, but it's like giving it new tools to kind of, I don't know, shine even brighter.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, this RoleCatcher guide also touched on something I found surprising, the collaborative side of stone engraving.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, I'll be honest, I always pictured, I don't know, like a solitary artist, alone in their workshop, chips of stone flying everywhere, totally in the zone, chipping away at a masterpiece.
Right, right. The classic image.
Yeah. But it sounds like it's not always like that.
It's definitely not always like that. I mean, sure, there's definitely an element of that romantic isolation, especially when you're like deep in the creative process, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, totally.
But the reality is, stone engraving often involves a whole team of people.
Really?
Think back to that headstone example we were talking about earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
It likely started with the engraver actually sitting down with the family, talking about the design, what they wanted to convey. Then they might need to coordinate with a mason, who's the one who actually prepares the stone itself.
Oh, right. See, I always forget about that part. For those of us who don't know, what all does a mason do again?
So masons, they're like the foundation specialists, right? They work with all sorts of stuff, stone, brick, concrete, you name it. But they're the ones building and preparing the structures that a lot of times engravers then come in and work on.
Oh, okay. So in the headstone example, the mason would be the one.
They'd be shaping and polishing the actual headstone, making sure it's level, stable, all of that, before the engraver even picks up a chisel.
Ah, okay. So it's like a sort of dance between these different artisans.
Exactly. Each one contributing their own expertise to create that final piece. And that's where, we were talking about all those different skills needed. That's where those soft skills become so crucial for an engraver to have.
Yeah, because it's not enough to just be like a master craftsperson.
Right? Not at all.
Yeah.
You also need to be a skilled communicator.
Yeah.
You have to be able to really understand a client's vision, manage their expectations, and then work collaboratively with all those other professionals involved. It's a lot.
Which I'd imagine is especially important when you're dealing with something as, personal and emotionally charged as a memorial.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to be so sensitive to the client's needs and what they're going through, but then also you want to stay true to your own artistic visions.
But you've got it. It's a tough balance to strike. And actually, to illustrate this point perfectly, the RoleCatcher interview prep materials, they have this great example. So they highlight this interview question that comes up all the time for aspiring stone engravers. And it's, how do you balance artistic expression with client needs in a project?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. It really gets at the heart of what it takes to, not just be good at the craft, but to actually succeed in this field.
It's that delicate dance we were talking about, honoring your creative instincts, but also delivering what the client wants.
Exactly.
So we've established stone engraving requires artistic talent, you need those technical skills, and you got to have the people skills. That's quite a combo.
It's a lot.
It is. But what about like someone who actually wants to make a career out of this?
Yeah.
It seems like such a, I don't know, a niche field to get into.
Rare.
Where do you even begin?
Well, it's definitely a unique career path, that's for sure. The RoleCatcher Career Guide, it actually it outlines a few common routes. And, as you might expect, a lot of people, they start with apprenticeships.
Oh, okay. So like the old school way.
Yeah. Learning from those really experienced engravers, picture those like old school workshops where you're like literally mastering hand tools, understanding the nuances of all the different stones, and you're basically earning your stripes through like pure hands-on experience.
So less about like going to formal art school, and it's more about finding the right mentor and, kind of learning the craft from the ground up.
Exactly. And those early years, they're really all about building that really solid foundation. But here's where it gets interesting. As engravers, gain experience, a lot of them, they start to specialize.
Wait, specialize. I thought like stone engraving was the specialization. What does that even look like within this field?
See, that's what's so cool about it. Even in a craft this, this old and this specific, there's still room for, I don't know, for carving out your own path, so to speak.
Right, right. I like that.
So some engravers, they become like masters of a certain type of stone. So maybe someone dedicates their whole career to, I don't know, the intricacies of marble, and they become the go-to expert for anything marble related.
Oh, wow.
Others, they might focus on a particular style of engraving, maybe They're really drawn to like the precision of lettering and calligraphy, restoring ancient texts, creating those beautiful flowing scripts on monuments.
So instead of being like a jack of all trades engraver, you could be known for like your incredibly lifelike animal sculptures,
Yep.
all carved into granite. Or maybe you're the person who specializes in restoring like really weathered inscriptions on, I don't know, antique tombstones.
Yeah.
Wow. The possibilities are like way more diverse than I ever would imagine.
They really are. And those choices, they lead to different paths. Like some engravers, they've got that, that entrepreneurial spirit.
Oh, yeah.
They might decide, hey, I'm going to start my own business, take on those custom projects, build up a client base, the whole 9 yards.
Right. Which makes me think back to that whole technology angle again.
Yeah.
You could have an engraver whose family's been doing this for, generations, knowledge passed down, but now they're also the ones on Instagram, showcasing their work to the entire world.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher, in that your competitive edge section, they really hit on how technology is kind of a game changer here. It's not just about like using computers for the design aspect. It's those online portfolios, connecting with clients potentially globally, even using platforms like, RoleCatcher itself to find these very, very specialized jobs.
It's amazing to think about, really. It really is. And it kind of makes you wonder, right? Like in this day and age with, mass production and everyone wanting things faster and cheaper,
Yeah.
does that handcrafted work, does it actually become more valuable?
It's a great question, and I'm honestly not sure I have a definitive answer. But think about it this way. When you can order like a mass-produced print online in, 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah, suddenly that hand-carved wooden frame you saw in that antique shop down the street, it hits different.
Right. It's like that human touch, even the imperfections become like the mark of quality, of something truly unique.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's not just about like the aesthetics either. It's about valuing the skill, the time, the sheer dedication that goes into creating something with your own two hands.
Oh, for sure.
No wonder we're seeing this like resurgence in handcrafted everything these days. There's a story there, right? A connection to the maker that you just don't get with something mass produced.
Totally. And for like, these aspiring stone engravers out there, maybe that's their unique selling point, right? Blending those like time-honored skills with modern marketing, putting themselves out there.
Absolutely. It's about, like we were saying before, carving out that niche, showcasing what makes your style yours, and finding those clients, those people who really connect with that human touch, that attention to detail. And get this, the RoleCatcher materials, they actually say that while the field of stone engraving, it's relatively small, but it's super stable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like there's this consistent demand for that unique handcrafted work, especially when you're talking custom memorials, restoration projects, those one-of-a-kind architectural details, all that.
Which, when you think about it, it makes total sense. If you're like commissioning a monument for a loved one, something
Yeah.
that's going to, be there for generations, or maybe you're restoring this historic building, you're not going to go with the cheapest option.
Right.
You want quality, you want artistry, you want something that'll, last.
And that's what I think makes this whole, deep dive we've been doing so fascinating. I feel like we often think of stone engraving as this, I don't know, very traditional, almost unchanging field. But as we've been talking about, it's a craft that's constantly evolving.
It is. It's like this amazing blend, right? Ancient techniques and cutting-edge technology.
Yeah.
You have that like solitary artistry, but then it's also deeply collaborative, honoring tradition, but then also pushing those creative boundaries. Who knew there was so much to it?
It's really incredible when you start to peel back the layers.
It is. And I have a feeling, I don't know, maybe some of our listeners are going to look at a piece of stone with like fresh eyes now,
I hope so.
appreciating the skill, the artistry, everything that goes into transforming it into, something remarkable.
It's a true art form.
It is. Well, you've definitely given us all a lot to think about today, from like that delicate touch you need for marble to those diamond tip tools for granite to collaborating with clients, maybe even launching your own engraving business one day. Who knew the world of stone engraving was so, I don't know, surprisingly intricate?
It really is. And it's a testament to that enduring power of craftsmanship, even in, like you said, this fast-paced, technology-driven world we live in. It's something special.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, everyone, keep those minds curious, keep those creative sparks flying, and hey, maybe you'll even be inspired to, I don't know, try your hand at a little stone carving yourself.
Yeah.
You never know what hidden talents you might have.